Welcome everyone. We're here today to talk about the teachings of Samata Samashti Dharma, and here with us is our beloved Guru, Swami Durgananda, and Joe, to talk about the topic of ego.
Thanks for that, Michelle. How are you, Swami?
Good, thank you.
It's been a while. It hasn't been as long since we spoke last. It's always good to catch up. In our last podcast, we talked about the lineage. And then it was interesting because we had a lot of responses and a lot of people interested in when you talked about the word ego, you said that's another topic. So I'm going to ask you, why is ego not a good thing? Or is it a good thing?
Well, it depends. In a lot of yoga modalities and yoga lineages, they say that the ego has to be crushed in followers. So they do all sorts of things like, you've got to crawl on all fours in front of the guru, and you've got to, I know one woman went to a fairly reputable ashram, and she had very bad arthritis in the feet and needed special shoes. They took the shoes off her because that was ego, wearing the shoes. I couldn't think of anything more ridiculous, but there you are. In our lineage, that we don't look at it that way. We look at ego as being your individualization. My guru used to love that word. He used to, stutter over it. But it's the you, it's the I. And it's really interesting because in Ayurveda, you have the three modes of nature. You have tamas, which is ignorance. You have rajas, which is passion. And you have sattva, which is equilibrium, all things equal. So ego belongs to the lower one. So it's actually a sin. It's called ignorance. Now, you need the ego to know who you are. You need the ego to know that you're Joe. And so nowadays people look at themselves. They look at all my habits. Oh, I must stop clicking my fingers. I must stop grunting I must stop grunting when I stand up. All these things, these little things, I've got a bit of jealousy there. You're looking at yourself. You know yourself. This is your ego.
How do you know, Swami, for people listening, how do you know it's ego or confidence or self-confidence?
You don't know, but that is all ego. That is...
So do you compartmentalise it in a way?
Listen, Joe. That is the ego that's immature. That is the ego which we call ahamkara. Ahamkara is that part of your psyche, or your mind, if you like, that keeps you reincarnating. Because, I'm in love with John and I want to, be in love with him in the next life, so you're planting these seeds in consciousness that will bring you back and you'll meet whoever it is again. But that's the immature ego, and that will keep you reincarnating all the time. We say that's not good, that's ignorance. That is what they call the Jiva Atman, the limited soul. But there's more to you than that. That is the immature ego. As your ego matures, you think, oh, I had this dream last night and I saw myself in a dream. That wasn't who I think I am. Why am I dreaming like this? So you start to inquire and you start the subtleties of evolving.
And is that how you can mature the ego?
Yes.
Over time, it's actually listening to your inner self.
Yes.
In dreams or in just
because,
messages.
As you can see, I'm going further deeper into the mind. Now, the mind has lots of structures, and one I really love is the mind of subliminal traits, where that is all your habits are in there. So what you do, the ego, I'm good with spelling, or I'm good with it. Well, so are a lot of other people. So get over it,
Yes, okay. Yep.
I could be the type of guru who's sitting up making a whole lot of money, and I'm not. And that doesn't worry me.
It's never been about money for you.
No.
For as long as I've known you, it's about teaching and getting a message out.
It's about teaching, covering the costs of wherever I am. I don't need to be sitting in an ashram in a big throne. No, that's not what we do, and that's not what we're about. So your ego has matured, because you don't have to have the big shopping centre complex. You don't have to have that complex. You don't have to have the big ashram. You can actually you can focus and mature your ego in your own space, quietly, even within your
and
own
respectfully,
family.
and within your own family. So that's good. So people, what would be, if you had to mention 2 or 3 steps in trying to mature or help mature your ego, what would be those 2 or 3 steps?
Let me tell you a little story about my guru. When he first went to the ashram of the Grand Master, he had been used to servants. Now, it's all very well to say that you are naked in a tent, but he was in the front garden of his brother's house in Delhi, and the servants brought his food. So he was not used to doing anything on his own. So the first thing he said was, so today we start, I've been initiated, what do we do? And he loved his clothes. They took his clothes off and told him he just could have, this wraparound material, forget what the name of it is now, and he could not get that wound around. And then they said, before you can eat, you need to clean here. It's a huge place. And he said, what servants? No, it's you. They gave me a little brush and they said, do it. Well, that really upset him. So then when he wanted to eat, they said to him, you can beg for your food now. Now, he was a handsome young fellow. So he found in the village people who cooked the best, and he would get the food off them. He never begged. But you see, that's how the ego it's with love, not with standards that you can't meet.
So did that humble him for those moments, realising that when he's used to having servants doing all this stuff for him, that he actually had to get down on his hands and knees to clean, and then to go out and beg for food?
He said that was hard for him because it was really strict, and he had no prior. He just wanted to, he'd read a Raj Yoga book by Swami Vivekananda, and interesting, he went to that ashram to learn, and they said, no, go away. I, in my turn, went to that ashram to learn, and they told me, no, we can't help you, go away. And it's interesting that years later, him and I, we quite often visited the leading abbots of that Ramakrishna mission in Delhi. Not ISKCON. Ramakrishna mission is different, yeah. So we went there. But as I was saying before, you have the tamas, rajas, sattva.
So talk about tamas.
So your ego will go from tamas to passion, because once you realise there's something beyond your everyday life, you start getting almost obsessed with finding, where am I going?
So once you get to that point, you start to find a passion to dig deeper and learn more
in
and
your
grow.
mind, because it's all in your mind. And then you have a mature ego, which is equilibrium. Yes.
So with getting back to the ego side of things from a passion point of view, can it sway the other way where it becomes confidence and overconfidence, because you think, I'm in that position now where I had a dream and my guru come to me and...
in it. No, yes, it can. It can get out of hand.
So how can we teach ourselves to control our ego, to understand that people are helping us, even in a good way or bad way? Because as you said,
everything
with your guru...
everything that you come in contact with in your daily life is a lesson. We don't live for today.
Some people do though.
Yeah, I know, but my guru used to say, living is not for today only, but for tomorrow also.
See, that's good. That's good.
So you have to really think about that.
So
it's
it's
really important.
With ego, it can be a long journey for all of us.
Can be lifetimes.
Yeah. That's good. That's very good.
Yes. Let me tell you a story about the passion, Joe.
Please do.
You were asking me about Tamas Raja Sattva. Now, we went into the ignorance. Let's go into the passion. I remember a day when I was with my guru and we were going up to what's called the Hill of Siddhas on the way to the temple. And there was an old Mahatma there that I had a lot of love for. He was a lovely fellow. He had these moments where he would give up speech and give up food and whatever. But he did have some quarters there that people devotees come to stay at. And he had said that he was going to die and leave his ashram to Maharaj and myself, the two of us. So up we went to talk to him. And on the way, a fellow came out of one of the rooms and he spoke Hindi to me. And my guru always took lots of tablets with him. He used to give people vitamin pills wherever he went. And so he started to say to me, this fellow is, really thin, he needs some vitamins. So I said to this man, why are you here? And he started Hindi again. I said, don't speak to me in Hindi, you speak English, you're from Sydney. And he was so shocked, he said, oh, yes. I said, so why are you talking to me in Hindi? Oh, because I want to be enlightened. I said, well, speaking another language is not going to enlighten you. He had just, the G-string on and he was dirty and unkempt and it wasn't my cup of tea. And so Maharaj said to him, if you need to have a good feed, come to us and we will give you some rice and dal and feed you up. And he said to me, I'm trying to have darshan with Krishna. Now darshan means to view. So he wanted to have a vision of Krishna. I said to him, you will not be getting one here because this guru, he worships Ganesh, a different god. So Krishna's not going to come around here. Although the village itself is for Radha, which is in the Krishna stories.
Yep.
And I said, you will only find it if you look inside yourself and you be true to yourself.
So you don't actually have to be in a place to
You don't
find
have
it.
to throw your clothes off, go without food and all this nonsense and walk barefoot through some unknown disease-ridden streets. No, you don't have to do that.
Do people use that type of setup or journey as when they come back home to Sydney for this particular guy? I did this, so I'm enlightened now.
Probably.
Or is it that ego that
and that crashes him right back down to ignorance again.
Yes.
Because he's got the passion, I want to know more. He didn't realise that his answers were all inside, within him.
Mm.
And maybe it wasn't his turn anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I think when people are really searching, they do go within. And they really then start their search.
Or they go the other way and sort of, I've seen some people roll around the holy. There's a 28 kilometre walk around this village that I used to go to, and you see people rolling the 20. Well, why would you roll 28? Because when they finish rolling 28 kilometres, they can't stand up anymore. And that's
they think that God has come to them or something.
That's not good for your spiritual journey. Spiritual journey is within. So you can't, sit on. I think Maharaj says he's written a book, and I've reprinted it, and I put a purport on it called Samatha Yoga, and he writes about people standing on one leg, leaning on a tree, or meditating, for days until they drop from, dehydration. It's not necessary.
No. So
moderation is required.
So with the ego, does meditation help? Like, can you overcome an ego by meditating, or?
Depends how you meditate.
Okay.
Yeah, there's different ways. I've also written a book on meditation.
Beautiful.
But there's different ways of meditating.
Well, we might leave that for another time.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us in another episode of the Teachings of Samata. For further information regarding these teachings with Swami Durgananda and her products, please check out the website below. To follow on with this journey, please subscribe for more.